Hey everybody, I'm Meteorologist Ryan Hanrahan here. Want to update you on the snow that we've got moving in. This is not going to be a big storm by any means, but I think it's going to be pretty festive. I think many of us are going to wake up to a couple inches of snow on the ground Sunday morning. It'll look beautiful out there. And for many parts of Connecticut, especially along the shoreline, this will be the first snow that we've had of the season, at least the first accumulating snow. So, hey, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what's going on in your backyard. I want to answer any questions you may have about this system. Again, just want to emphasize, this is not a big storm. This is not a major storm. The impact is going to be relatively muted, but still something to talk about. I'm actually here on a weekend anyway. I'm filling in for Anthony, so happy to be here and to talk about what we've got. So first things first, let's take a look at live Doppler radar. And at least right now, you can see there's not a whole lot going on. In fact, a lot of what is falling here is actually drying up before it reaches the ground. So we could see a couple flurries out there over the next several hours, but most of the accumulating snow is going to hold off until after midnight. So this is all pretty light. Let me zoom in a little bit here for you. Let's take a look. Take a look at the radar here. See what we've got, and you can see some of that. Some of those flurries may be trying to make it down into coastal New London County. Could get a little bit of light snow right now. Old Saybrook out to Old Lyme, maybe Stonington, a little bit of snow. It looks like there's a little bit of moisture coming in off the Sound, and then up here, notice that there are some echoes showing up as you get closer to, say, the Hudson Valley and into Litchfield County, but a lot of that is drying up before it reaches the ground. So we've got a ways to go before this system gets in here. And again, this is all pretty minor, so don't get too excited about this, but I'm excited. I could use a little snow. It's been a little while. So here's the satellite and radar loop, and here's the system. We've got this upper level low that's up here across portions of the Great Lakes and Ontario, and then out ahead of it on the southern flank, you've got this band of moisture that's moving through portions of the Ohio River Valley heading into Pennsylvania, and it's just beginning to spread to the east. And that is what is going to be here in Connecticut tomorrow morning. Now, we're going to get an area of low pressure that's going to form off the coast, and this low is going to form off the coast of New Jersey. And when we get a big storm, what happens is you get a system that comes in from the west, and the storm starts to strengthen, and it sort of comes up the coast. This one is going to move out to sea, and it's going to remain pretty weak. So we're just going to get some moisture and some snow on the northern side of it, but it's not going to amount to all that much. Now, if the storm were to be stronger, it would be a different situation, obviously, but the weather pattern is not right for that, and I'll show you why. If you look at the high-res satellite, this is the water vapor loop, and you can see this big dip in the jet stream developing. I'll draw it on for you because it's a little hard to see, but this is the dip in the jet stream right here across the Great Lakes right now. You can see this area of basically an area of low pressure over the Great Lakes is diving south, and if this were a lot sharper, if that dip went right down, say like down toward North Carolina and Tennessee, then you get a bigger storm here. But this is all, the flow here is generally from west to east. So that's really going to prevent this storm from doing a whole lot. So, we get something out of it, but not a ton. Here's a look outside in Hartford. Pretty quiet right now. We've got cloudy skies, but no snow yet. Down in New Haven, the Christmas tree's looking good on the green, and we're going to turn that green white by tomorrow morning as the system comes in. We've got a winter weather advisory in effect for the southern half of the state. Looks like the southern half of the state is going to see the most accumulation out of this. I think there will be less the farther north you get, and especially the valley north of Hartford. I think we're going to sort of struggle to get a whole lot there with the system as it moves in. So we're getting some comments here from our viewers, which is awesome. We'd love to see that. So let's take a look at some of the questions we're getting. I'm going to answer as many of these as I can for you. So let's see. All right. So Mabel's asking, or Mabel is telling me that right now that there's nothing in New Preston. So New Preston's good right now. I think New Preston's going to get some snow later on tonight and tomorrow morning, and probably a fresh 2 inches or so in New Preston up in Litchfield County by tomorrow morning. So Mabel, thank you. And then we've got Steve here. Steve's asking, will the roads get icy, do you think? Yeah, I do think the roads are going to get pretty slippery late tonight and tomorrow morning as the system moves in. So 6, 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, I think we're pretty slick on the roads. It's not going to last too long, but it is going to be a little slick. And I'm just going to stop here, future radar for you, right? 5 a.m. That's when the snow's coming down at a decent clip. So yeah, it's going to be cold enough to get those roads to be a little icy, a little slick. But tomorrow, once this thing tapers off, I think things get a whole lot better. Jennifer asks, what time should the storm end in Westbrook? That is a great question, Jennifer. And it looks like the northwest corner of Connecticut will get the storm to end by about 7 a.m. Down toward Westbrook, probably 9 to 10 a.m. That's when the flakes will end, and down towards Stonington by 11 a.m. So things will taper off pretty quickly tomorrow morning. And it's really just a couple hours prior to dawn where the snow's coming down. So if you're a little skittish about driving when it's a little slick, a little snowy, just give it a couple hours tomorrow morning. And by midday, it should be okay. Kathleen, good evening. Great night to look around Connecticut for the Christmas decorations. 100%. I love that. Matthew goes, any mesoscale banding for Southwest Fairfield County for tomorrow morning? So is there going to be any of this mesoscale banding? So what Matt is talking about here, Matt knows his stuff. Matt's probably a meteorologist in training. And I see your profile pictures there at Channel 8. Say hi to Joe Fury for me. So yeah, Matt, I do think there is going to be some banding that sets up. I think the band of heavy snow is still going to be down toward Long Island, but farther to the north, I do think whether it's Fairfield County, up into New Haven County, really the southern half of the state, the snow is going to be pretty fluffy, and I think we're going to probably get a little bit of fluff factor. And so we're going to be able to pile up a bit more snow than you typically would for a storm that's just not very impressive. So, are we going to get like a real heavy band of snow? I don't think so. We're sort of removed from that. But still, I think it's going to come down at a decent clip tomorrow morning. Jill goes, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Happy holidays, Ryan. Can't wait to see tomorrow morning. I know, I'm excited too. I may set the alarm. I mean, I used to be able to sleep in, but now I seem to get up at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. So I will be up and admiring the snowflakes tomorrow morning. Can't wait for that. That'll be cool. So Jill, thank you. And Merry Christmas to you. Chris Shabbat, our friend from Milford. Chris is watching this evening. Chris, hello. Why does Tolland always seem to measure more snow than other areas? We have a very enthusiastic weather watcher in Tolland who doesn't always put the ruler in the snow at a 90-degree angle. Sometimes there's just a little bit of a slant there in Tolland. But Tolland does. In all seriousness, Tolland is can get up around 1,000 feet. So that little bit of elevation tends to help. But thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Carrie goes, what will the road conditions be tomorrow morning? I think early tomorrow morning, let's say 5, 6, 7 a.m. I think it's pretty slick. I think it's going to be a little slippery first thing tomorrow morning. It's going to be cold enough that the snow's going to stick pretty easily, even on the roads. So I do think it's going to be pretty slippery tomorrow morning. So just something to keep in mind if you're going to be out and about first thing. But give it a little time, get some salt down on the roads, and by 10 or 11 o'clock, it should be a whole lot better. Although it is going to get really cold later in the day tomorrow. All right, Karen goes, hi, Ryan, Norwich, nothing yet. Talk about those dendrites. I can do that. So what Karen is mentioning here is dendrites, and dendrites are a type of snowflake. So snowflakes come in all different shapes and sizes. And when you think of a snowflake, you think of those really beautiful ornate crystals. Those are dendrites. And we get dendrites. If you really want to get into detail, I can do that for you. So dendrites tend to be produced when snowflakes are developing in a cloud, and the cloud is about minus 15 degrees Celsius, which is about 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So, or a little more than that. But at that temperature, that is the preferred crystal. So you get those dendrites to form. And so that does two things. One, they grow very efficiently. So you get a lot of bang for your buck to get those dendrites to form. So you can get a little bit more snowflake production than you would with other types of crystals at other temperatures. They also, when they begin to accumulate, because they're so branched, they tend to get stuck and tangled with one another. So they tend to be pretty fluffy. So you wind up getting a lot of air caught in between them. So if you're just taking a measurement of just the depth of the snow, you get some fluff with those dendrites as they fall. So yeah, I do think tomorrow, based on what we're looking at, is that the clouds are going to be producing snow right at that magic number, minus 15 degrees C. So normally for every 1 inch of liquid, if you melt the snow down, for every inch of liquid, you get about 10 inches of snow. I think tomorrow we could be getting more in some spots, 15 to 1, 17 to 1. And so that's the wild card here. So that's sort of the tough spot with the forecast. It's really hard. It's hard enough to figure out how much precipitation is going to fall in the first place. Then you have to figure out, okay, well, what's the temperature in the cloud? Then where in the cloud are you producing snowflakes? And what kinds of snowflakes will they be? And then when they fall, are they going to be really dense, like needles or columns that just sort of pile up really close together? You're going to get these branches. It would be like taking sticks and throwing them in a pile in the woods. And you compare that to throwing them in a wood chipper. And look at the difference in density. You get a lot more air in them when you have those branches that you're sort of piling up, as opposed to just getting really fine stuff that can get pretty dense. So that's a long answer, but I do think that is going to be one of the issues with this forecast. That's why we're predicting. That's why I bumped up the snow totals, and I haven't even shown the snow totals yet. That's why I bumped up the snow totals, because I think the snow's going to be a little fluffier than normal. Those you've been talking about. Linda goes, "Can we postpone it to Monday?" No, I cannot do that for you. Sorry, we get it tomorrow morning. I don't have that kind of power. How will the drive be at 9:30 tomorrow morning to Great Barrington? Probably doable. Depends on where you're coming from. I imagine you're going up. I don't know where you're from, Kristen. So I can only give you so much information there. But especially once you get up into Great Barrington, probably about like 2 inches of snow, one to two or so. So it could be a little slick, but doable. Once the plows get to work, you should be able to do things okay if you just take it slow. So just take it easy tomorrow morning. And the later you wait in the day, the better it is, because the snow probably by Great Barrington and Canaan, the snow is probably over by about 7 o'clock. So by 9:30, that gives the DOT a lot of time to get working on the roads. Terry says, thank you. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you watching. Mike goes, all right, 20 to 1 ratio. You're getting greedy, Mike, with the snowfall. So that ratio is what I was talking about, is how much snow do you get for every inch of liquid precipitation. And so we think it's going to be a little fluffier than normal. That's why, you get 0.2 of an inch of precipitation. That could be 4 inches of snow. The funny thing is that the difference between 2 inches at 10 to 1 and 4 inches at 20 to 1 is basically nothing in terms of impact. It's the same to move. It's the same to snow blow. It makes no real difference. It just, if you stick a ruler in the snow, it just measures more. So, people say, like, you guys don't know what the heck you're talking about. You're always wrong. Well, we can get the amount of precipitation right, and then we have to figure out, okay, well, what kind of ice crystal is going to form? So that's why I like forecasting snow, because I think it's fun. It's such a challenge, but we do the best we can. That's all you can do, right? All right. Matthew goes, our friend from Fairfield County goes, GFS is looking active going forward, leading up to Christmas and beyond. Yeah, it does look pretty active. I think the weather pattern overall, though, is turning milder toward Christmas. That doesn't mean we can't get wintry weather. Maybe some like mixed precipitation events toward Christmas. Doesn't look like super warm, but I think it's going to be a warmer pattern for sure. All right, Greg goes, nothing in Plainville yet. Hope in the future we get a big one up here. I agree. The last few years have been brutal. It's been so boring. Let's get some snow. Come on, guys. Olben goes, what is it looking like for Wethersfield? Wethersfield, we think probably 2 to 3 inches of snow, I'd say, in Wethersfield. There is going to be some dry air in the Connecticut River Valley, especially north of Wethersfield, up toward, let's say, the Windsors, up through Enfield and Suffield, and that dry air may keep the totals down. But once you get south of Hartford, it's probably going to be a bit less of a factor. Amber is in Montville. Snow for us, I presume. Yeah, you're going to get snow out of this. And Montville may be one of the towns that gets sort of the most snow out of this. And I'll explain why in just a minute. So Montville, I think, is in a pretty good shape for this one if you want some snow. Sarah goes, Goshen is a little farther north, but has a high elevation. Yeah, you got a lot going for you. Do you think we'll see more than the 1 to 2? I think it's possible. It would not surprise me if, especially places like Goshen, are able to get into that real fluff factor. Maybe you do get a bonus fluffy inch on top of it. So yeah, I think that's a possibility. But again, I mean, the impact is going to be relatively limited because this is not a ton of snow here. I had someone on Facebook earlier say like, oh my God, the newscast is just hyping it up like crazy. But it was just me. And I was like, it's going to snow, but it's not going to be that bad. So I don't know. Like, I can't really hype it up. It's 2 inches of snow, big deal. But it's snow and something to talk about. I'm a meteorologist. This is what I do. So if you're sick of hearing me talk about it, yeah, I get that. I can only talk about it for so long. What time is it starting in Trumbull? This is from Chris. Hey, Chris, what's going on, man? Looks like I think we'll probably get our first flurries in the next hour or two, but any appreciable snow probably holds off until about midnight, 1 a.m. David goes, is this a fluffy light accumulation? Yeah, I do think it's pretty fluffy. So that it should make moving it a little easy. The one exception to that may be like right along the coast, like within a mile or two of the coast. It may be just the temperature into the ground may be close to freezing, so that may make it a little just a little heavier, but not by much. And as you take a look at temperatures across the state now, take a look at what we've got here. So down in Litchfield County, we're already in the 20s, so it's pretty cold. Windsor Locks is 32, Meriden 35, Norwich is 36, so we're above freezing. But here's the deal. Let me show you this. The humidity is still low, so it's still fairly dry. So once we get the precipitation to come in, once the snow comes in, the temperatures begin to drop as we saturate. So we're going to drop below freezing pretty much everywhere. And then colder air is going to be filtering in through the system. So yeah, I do think it is going to be pretty fluffy for sure. Al goes, when will the wind pick up? Not till tomorrow afternoon. It gets pretty windy tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, and I'll show you that. The wind chills look pretty rough later on. Let's see here. Devin says a peanut butter sandwich time. Oh, I do love a peanut butter sandwich. I've brought those for storm coverage before. Basra is looking forward to it. Yes, get some snow. I am looking forward to that. So yeah, Basra I think is in a good spot for the storm. I think Basra 4 inches, pretty good bet. Maybe even a little more. I think there could be, someone could get 5 out of this. Marie goes, any long range snow in store for Christmas? It's gonna be tough. There's the potential. There's something around Christmas Eve, which would be fun. We'll see. You never know, but the pattern does look a little bit warmer. So I'm not too excited yet, but we'll be watching it. So when there's something that I think has like a reasonable shot of happening, I'll let you know. There's nothing yet. It is not, but it also is not, totally out of the question either. Sometimes we can look 11, 12 days out and be like, yeah, there's basically not a shot. But there could be. The weather pattern looks warmer, but it does not look completely prohibitive for something like that. Chris goes, congratulations on 20 years. Yeah, I celebrated my 20th anniversary for this at the station on yesterday, I guess. No, 2 days ago. It was the 11th. December 11th. But yes, it's been an amazing 20 years, and getting to do this is so fun. Bristol 2 inches. Yeah, 2-3 inches in Bristol. I think is a pretty good bet. Catherine wants to know about Ledyard. Ledyard's in a pretty good spot. I think you're close to the max, 4 inches in Ledyard. My mom says, hi, Rye. She'll be up early to look at the snow. Well, I will as well, Mom. So thank you for watching. How much snow will Cambridge, Mass get? All right, we got some viewers from up in Cambridge, and outside of Boston. Maybe an inch or two. I think Boston is sort of on the northern fringe of this. It's going to be a little harder once you get north. I think southeast Mass, like New Bedford, Fall River, up to Taunton, that probably could be one of the best spots for this system overall. But just south of Boston, so more South Shore. Narita goes, is travel from Newburgh to Windsor safe tomorrow around 4 o'clock? Thumbs up. You're good. It should be fine then. Todd goes, will it be a good day for cheese and wine? I think it's always a good day for cheese and wine. So snow, no snow, go right ahead. I'm here for it. Marianne, how much snow we get in Trenton, New Jersey? Oh, you guys are making me work. Now I got to go to Trenton, New Jersey. I think there's going to be a pretty good band of snow down toward Philadelphia and South Jersey. Trenton's a little farther north, but probably good for about 4 or 5 inches of snow from what I've seen. So Trenton's in a pretty good spot. Let's see. Alexander's in Pennsylvania. It's starting to snow there. Katie wants to know, all right, how much snow in Torrington? Torrington, we're looking at about, I've got you right on the border between 1 to 2 and 2 to 4. So 2 inches, something like that. I think that's a decent bet. Terraville, probably 1 to 2 inches. May have a little bit of dry air up in Terraville. It may be tough to overcome, so it may take a little bit. Matthew goes, short range models indicating 6 as much as 8 inches for snow at Cape Cod and Nantucket. Yes, they are. Southeastern Mass probably gets the most out of this system, and Long Island too. Long Island's going to be closer to the heaviest. Greg goes, can we get a February 7th, 2013 in Connecticut, please? 30 inches in Plainville. Man, that storm was fun. I love that storm. That was just the best. Friday night, we had the whole weekend to dig out. It was pretty wild. That was quite the storm. Yes, I'm for that. So, hey, I'll keep going with the comments in just a little bit, but let me do one thing first here. I'm gonna sort of go back through here and show you, walk through the rest of the graphics that I had lined up. So again, we'll get the snow to develop over the next couple hours. It's pretty light at first, then it begins to pick up in intensity, and we get some heavier snow overnight. So notice the colors get darker here. This is 1 a.m. And by 1 a.m., especially in southern Connecticut, this is when the snow's coming down at a pretty decent clip. And that continues through the overnight hours through about daybreak. And 6 a.m., that's when this darker shading, that's some of the heaviest snow of this whole event. But it's quick moving. I mean, it's out of here real fast. We start to bring in drier air. And by 8 a.m., you're already getting the snow to end up in northwestern Connecticut. And that back edge sort of races through. By 11 a.m., the meaningful snow is out here toward Rhode Island and Massachusetts. So pretty quickly, you get it all out of here. So that's what we're looking at in terms of the timing. And then it just gets real cold behind this thing. So I was talking about, we have to take a look at the, well, that's not what I wanted to do. Go back here, see if I can get it to work here. All right, here we go. So, one of the things with the forecast that we try to do, we try to look at, okay, how much precipitation is going to fall, how much liquid is going to come out of the clouds, and then we convert that to snowfall. And so we use a ratio. So 10 to 1 is normally a pretty safe bet. That's sort of our default, 10 to 1. If it's really warm and the snow's really slushy, maybe you do 6 to 1, 7 to 1. If the snow's really fluffy, and you think you're going to get a lot of fluff out of it, then you think more like, all right, maybe it's more 20 to 1. We've seen storms like that. We've seen storms that have done 25 to 1. So an inch of liquid would give you 25 inches of snow. And so we take these numbers. This is from one of our computer models. This is the NAM. And notice you've got the most precipitation here in southeastern Connecticut, and really down along the I-95 corridor, 0.3 of an inch, 0.4 of an inch. And so if that's a 10 to 1 ratio, that's 3 or 4 inches. But if that ratio, especially just inland, is more 15 to 1, well, then suddenly that 0.4 of an inch of liquid is 6 inches of snow. Now, I'm not forecasting that to happen, but just showing you that that's a possibility. So that's one of the things that just makes figuring this out just sort of tough. And here's what we're thinking for snowfall totals. 1 to 2 northern Connecticut, 2 to 4. I do think, and I mentioned this yesterday, I do think there is going to be a bit of an issue here from Springfield down to the northern suburbs of Hartford, and also in the Farmington Valley, where it's going to be just a little dry, and it may take a while to get the snow to make it down to saturate the atmosphere enough. So I think that may be a bit of an issue that we're going to have to deal with. So at least right now, I think if I were to pick a town to get the least amount of snow out of this system, I would say it would be Enfield, just because they'll have that dry air that's sort of stuck in the valley. And then on top of that, you're the farthest north away from the storm. In the hills, you don't necessarily have to deal with that dry air as much. So say up in Union on one side and Norfolk on the other, you're up about 1,000 feet. So you have 1,000 less feet of that dry air for those snowflakes to sublimate through. So at least in that respect, I think, that's the area that I'd say would get the least. The most snow, if I were to pick a jackpot town out of this one, I would say it would be, let's go just inland from Long Island Sound, maybe Haddam, Durham, East Haddam, Salem, Montville, maybe. That's those are my jackpot towns. We'll revisit this tomorrow. see how I do. It's always a little dangerous to try to get that specific because these things are always a little challenging. Joe goes, just popped on. Seems like the heavier snow has moved north more today in the models, and yeah, it has definitely have seen a tick to the north with this thing, and so that's why we increased the totals a bit. That's one of the reasons. The other one is because we think the snow is going to be a little fluffier. Waterbury, I think Waterbury's in a pretty good spot for this one. I think Waterbury is probably good for 3 inches, 4 inches. Far enough south, so you're close enough to the storm, and just inland enough that you'll be a little bit colder, so you're not gonna have to deal with being right around freezing near the ground. Michael taking the kids sledding tomorrow. Hopefully, I hope so too. Gail goes, how cold will it be tomorrow night? I have to go out in Bridgeport. It is going to be cold. It's going to be the wind chills near 10, upper single digits. So yeah, dress warmly for that. Kristen's from Avon. Oh, you're the one who's going to Great Barrington, Kristen, I think. So Avon to Great Barrington. So yeah, I think it could be a little slick early on, but by 9:30, the sun will be out, plows will have been out, salt will be out. I think you'll probably be okay. So not too big of a deal, and the snow should be ending in Great Barrington by like 7:30. Brandon, will it turn to ice if I don't get rid of it? Probably not, because it's going to be cold all day tomorrow, so it's not going to do like one of those melt refreeze kinds of deals. But still probably better to get rid of it, I guess. Relda, when will it taper off in New Haven? Let's say 9 a.m. tomorrow. With give or take an hour, but about 9 a.m. we should be done with it in New Haven. Timing's still the same. Yep, no change for the timing here. Danbury, we're thinking 2 to 4. Danbury probably good for 3 or 4 inches of snow. Mike wants to know Connecticut, River Valley, and Massachusetts. How much up here? Ooh, not great. This is not a great storm for the Connecticut River Valley. I don't know how far up you are. If you're up like Deerfield, Greenfield, probably almost nothing out of the storm. If you're a little bit farther south, Agawam, Longmeadow, Springfield, maybe an inch. I think it's going to be tough up there. We got some dry air. You're a little farther removed from the storm, so not as much. Probably a little bit more to the west in the Berkshires. Sharon, congratulations on 20 years. Sharon, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Joe goes, well, it does make a difference in the sense of how light it is and how easy it is to move. And yes, so we're talking about the snow density. My point was, what I was saying is, if you have 2 inches of snow and has the same liquid water content as 4 inches of snow, that 2 inches is going to feel the same as that 4 inches of snow, because it's the same weight. It's just different densities. So that's what I'm saying. Like the difference, if you have 4 inches of fluffy snow and 2 inches of not fluffy snow, moving that is going to be about the same. But if you get 4 inches of really heavy snow versus 4 inches of fluffy snow, that's a big difference. But my point was that difference in density makes a huge difference. I mean, we've had snowstorms. One of the things, the 2013 blizzard that is really underappreciated is that not only did we have all that snow, places had 3 feet, that snow was heavy and dense. It was tough to move. There was some hail in there. Not even sleet, it was hail. It was sort of crazy. But that stuff was like concrete to move, especially in southern Connecticut. So that's why it was so impactful. We had 3 feet of snow that was super fluffy. In 2006, we had a snowstorm, and you probably don't even remember it, because we had here at the station in West Hartford, we had about 27 or 28 inches of snow I measured. But it was so fluffy. It was so easy to move. By 6 hours after the storm, everything was cleaned up and it was totally fine. But then in 2013, we had about the same. We had about 30 inches of snow in West Hartford, but it was heavy and dense, and it was just brutal. So that density really makes a difference. Cheryl, happy 20th anniversary! Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Mary Bell goes, watching from Bristol. How many inches tomorrow morning? I think probably. Bristol 2 or 3. Gail says, thank you for all you do. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sirium goes, snow big enough for gym closure. It's leg day. No, always never skip leg day. If it's closed, just do some squats at home. Carol's in East Lyme. East Lyme, I think you're in pretty good shape for this one. We have not had much in the way of snow at all in East Lyme yet this year. And I think you're going to get some tomorrow or late tonight. All right. I've got a lot of questions here. Someone says, love the live stream. Thank you. Stephanie goes, did totals go up? And yeah, they did go up a little bit in some parts of the state from what we were thinking yesterday. But that's, we got some new data. That's what we do. John goes, why does a simple weather forecast take so long? Because we're just hanging out, John. We're just having a good time talking weather. But here, I'll go right to the, if you want the simple forecast, I'll advance. I'll get right to it. John, we froze the computer. There you go. So that's how much snow we're looking at. So that's the forecast here. Carol goes, can't wait for the snow. It's that time of year. Couldn't agree more. Alan goes, when will this be pulling out of Western Connecticut? Probably Northwest Connecticut, probably as early as about 7:30. Down toward Bridgeport, Shelton, probably more toward like 9, but pretty early tomorrow morning. Michael's loving the videos. Thank you, Michael. We've got our brand new digs here. So we're having fun in our new studio, we call it the Weather Lab. We got all sorts of little stuff around here, little knickknacks. I took most of them from my office at home. So I have some of my books from college, my textbooks. So do all sorts of geeky stuff up here. We love it. Jeanette goes, what about Bethany? Bethany is a great town for snow. You're close enough to the coast to get the moisture, but you're a little elevated and you're just far enough northwest. So Bethany does really well with snow. Bethany actually averages more snow than places like Hartford, even though it's much farther south. Anyway, I digress. Probably about 4 inches. Could see 5 in Bethany. That could be one of those towns that is a bit more because Bethany's one of those towns that tends to get the jackpot totals. EC White, will the wind blow the snow off the cars then? Some places it might, because December sun angle's really low. You don't get a lot of solar insolation during the day tomorrow. Temperatures will drop all day. So yeah, if you're lucky, you may just get rid of it. Let's see here. How much is expected in Union, the quiet corner? Union's really elevated. Union always does pretty well. So I'd say 2 inches in Union. I have you in the 1 to 2 corridor, but keep in mind, if you're in one of those towns that's up at like 1,200 feet, it's just easier to do well because you eliminate that dry layer near the ground, tend to be a little bit colder. So I think you're in good shape. There's someone in Tolland who definitely thinks 3 to 5. Yes, we know. Kevin in Tolland has gotten a lot of airtime already. So I think Kevin's good. I think Tolland is good for 4 inches of snow out of this one. Avon Scott may be a little tough. I think there's some dry air. So an inch or 2 for Avon. Jeff Aborn, our weather observer in Staffordville. How much snow up here in Staffordville? Maybe 2. I think that's a good bet. Amber, 2-ish in Danbury, probably a little bit more. Let's see. What time will this all begin? So, Sheena, the snow begins, maybe a couple of flurries this evening, but most of the snow holds off until after midnight. At least the steadier accumulating snow, and then it winds down by about 7 a.m. I think the best of it, the most of the snow is right before dawn. I think that's when we get the most accumulation. Mary Bell, congrats on 20 years. Many blessings. Thank you, Mary Bell. That's so sweet of you. We love hearing you watching from Bristol. Thanks, Mary Bell. Love that. Plainville, up at about 500 feet on Rattlesnake Mountain. 3 inches doable. Totally. I think that's totally. Meteorologist Jeff Banson. Great video. Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Danielle, I'm in Sandy Hook, and I swear we have such cold spots that we get snow, whereas the rest of the town just rain or less accumulating snow. It depends on where you are. Especially in Newtown and Southbury, you can get some hills and some elevation, and so that part of the state tends to do fairly well. So places like Newtown, Southbury, Middlebury, even down to Monroe, 3-4 inches certainly seems reasonable. Let's see how much snow in Waterbury. We got you in 2 to 4. Vicky can't wait for snow in Milford. Me too. Let's see. Tony, which of the weather models was most accurate leading up to the storm? We got to wait till the storm's over to make a call there. But actually, I will say that the AI models, the AI-based models, were very consistent, where the physics-based models, the ones that we've been using for decades, were a little more noisy, bouncing all over the place. The AI-based models seem to have done a pretty good job. Danielle, what about the Geminid meteor shower? And I didn't talk about this tonight because it's cloudy. So the Geminids are the best meteor shower of the year, but the weather's not great for that. Get snow at least, but I don't think we'll see any meteors tonight. Paige, how will this affect the Pats-Bills game? Most of it should be over in Foxborough by game time. Bryn, so driving Wallingford at 5:30 a.m. not going to be great. Probably not. I don't think it's going to be the best in Wallingford. Tyson, 5 inches for me. Calling it, Mike Daly, calling it now. Killingworth, jackpot, 5 inches. Killingworth's a good spot. I mentioned Haddam, so, Killingworth, just inland from the Sound, close to the moisture. Yeah, that's a town that could do pretty well. We're getting I can't even keep up with these comments, guys. This is great. Wait, Danbury going to get more. We got you in 2 to 4, Carrie. I think that's good. Let's see. Kim, congrats on 20 years. Thank you. Brent, Durham is next to Wallingford. Yes, it is. So yeah, that could be, although Wallingford, once you get down, once you keep going down, what's that, 60? What road is that? What's that road that goes from Wallingford to 68? Whew. Once you keep going down 68 from Durham past the fairgrounds, you go down in elevation, especially once you get to the center of Wallingford by the Quinnipiac. So, higher elevations just tend to do better. Megan, how much in the locks? I assume the locks is Windsor locks, but I've never heard called that. I like that. I think that's probably going to be a tough one. Probably an inch, maybe an inch and a half. There's going to be some dry air in the valley. So places like Windsor Locks, up into Suffield, East Granby, Enfield may struggle a little bit because of that dry air. So make it a bit less than surrounding towns. Sal, do a nice job. Either way, I'll be at Ski Sundown tomorrow. That's the way to do it. Ski Sundown's open, and all the Connecticut skiers are open, and they're going to get a little fresh snow tomorrow morning. So the conditions should be awesome. So love that. Let's see. Robert goes, usually it is warmer along the shoreline and colder inland. How come the southern portion will get more snow? So that's a great question. So yes, normally that's true, right? So latitude makes a difference. Getting the wind off the water warms us up. The difference in this storm is that it's going to be below freezing. So we're down below 32 degrees everywhere. So we're not worried about rain or snow. So it's going to snow. The question is, where does it snow the most? And the farther south you are, the closer you are to the storm, and the more moisture you're going to get. So that proximity to the storm is going to help in this case. Sometimes even the shoreline may get more precipitation, but because it's warmer, some of that's rain, so that holds down totals. This is going to be a different scenario where it's going to be more dependent on, where you are in relation to the storm. I think that's more important. Alfred, how much in, I assume this is Pawcatuck, down in Stonington, Pawcatuck, probably 3-4 inches of snow. So be nice for you guys. Justin, is Berlin too far north in the valley for a few inches? No, I think you're good for a few inches in Berlin, far enough south there. Dalton, nothing hitting the ground in Canterbury yet. Matthew goes, is 3 inches a good number for Glastonbury? I think 3 inches works for Glastonbury. Totally. Plainville, about 2-3 in Plainville. I think that's fine. All right, we're getting lots of towns here. I've got the map here, so I can't answer all of them. Jeremy goes to, I won an Emmy for tornado coverage in 2020. I did not. I don't think I entered either. But thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. I really appreciate that. The kind words are really it's great. You were very, very nice. All right. So I'm just scrolling through to see. Oh, I'm way behind in these comments. Ryan goes, is this the place to be for New England weather? Yes, it is. 110%. Totally. We're gonna have fun. All right. So I'm just scrolling through these things, just to see these comments to see if I'm missing, because I've got a lot of what's going on in this specific town, and I've answered some of these already. So it's cool. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and do the forecast sort of over so I can get as many towns and locations as I can. Ryan asks, is this really live? It is. It is live. It is 8:43 right now. Billy, congrats on 20 years. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Missy says hi from Sulington. Hey, Missy, what's going on? How are you? Nicole, thank you for keeping our weather for 20 years. It's been a great 20 years. Although I will say the last 2 years have been really quiet in the weather department. I don't know what that's all about. Greg mentioned the water main break in Waterbury, and that's certainly an issue. And we're gonna have more on that tonight on our 11 o'clock news. But I know that the water main break is a real mess out in Waterbury. So we're thinking about all you guys. I know they're handing out water there, but just a real miss. Missy goes, hey, do you remember meeting me a few years ago at Fat Orange Cat? Yeah, the brewery. I love that place. That is right. That's too funny. Let's see. See where we are with. Oh, I've caught up on the comments. Whew, I was worried. It was those comments were great. We had so many. That was fun. All right. Well, we're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna let the comments roll in. But right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sort of go back and give everyone a briefing on what we've got, because we've got a lot of people watching this right now, and that's fantastic. I want to keep you updated as best I can. So we're gonna go through this and take a look at the storm and talk about what we've got coming in all different towns across Connecticut. All right. So what do you say? All right, let's do this. All right. So. All right, where do we begin? All right, first things first, let's talk about where we are right now, and then we're going to get into what's coming. So let's see here. Just give me 1 second. All right, so right now on live Doppler radar, I don't know if we have any snow reaching the ground in Groton yet. If anyone is in Groton or Stonington and can let me know, that would be awesome, because it looks like we may have just enough moisture in southeastern Connecticut to get some of that snow to reach the ground. Let me look here. I can actually look at the observation from the airport to see if they're reporting any snow. It doesn't look like they are. They are not yet at the Groton New London Airport. Out on Long Island. Yeah, it's snowing on Long Island, so we're probably pretty close to getting some snow right along the shoreline. Maybe snowing already. So maybe a little bit of snow here in the southeast corner. But what you see here, this is not reaching the ground. It's snowing from the clouds. The radar beam is up in the clouds and it's detecting snow, but that snow is sublimating or drying up before it reaches the ground. So it's not quite reaching the ground yet. It will, so as those snowflakes fall and they sublimate and they dry up, sublimation is basically just evaporation. Instead of going from liquid to gas, which is evaporation, you go from solid to gas. So that's what sublimation means. So as you sublimate, the atmosphere becomes moister or more moist, whatever. It's one of those things. And as that happens, you're going to be able to get that snow to reach the ground. So at least initially you got some dry air, but that's a cooling process too. So it actually takes heat energy out of the atmosphere. And so it will drop the temperature as well. Here's the satellite radar loop. Here's the system. It's not terribly strong. It's not terribly impressive, but it's enough to bring in a little bit of snow. And you can see it is this band here. It's moving generally from west to east. And so it's pretty progressive. The jet stream is pretty flat. And I'll show you the jet stream here. So if you're looking for a big storm in the Northeast, if you want a nor'easter, you need the jet stream to dip down like this. Do something like a real sharp dip. And when that happens, that's when you get a powerful storm. So if you had a really sharp dip like that, you get a storm to form off the coast. It become a nor'easter. It moves slowly. It would come up the coast. That's how you get a big storm. This is not that. This is really flat. So you have a dip, but it's really sort of broad and it comes to the north. So instead of getting a real powerful storm to form, you get a weak storm to form. And instead of it getting tugged up the coast, it just sort of slides out to sea. And that's why we're not going to get a ton out of this one. It's sort of limited in what we can get. Here's Hartford. It is a quiet night. It's a little chilly, but it's not that cold. And in New Haven, things are looking beautiful on the green. Love that shot in New Haven. We're going to get some flurries starting soon in New Haven, and then that heavier snow overnight. Winter weather advisory in effect. So that winter weather advisory yesterday, it was just for Long Island. Then this morning, the Weather Service bumped it north to include just the southern part of the 4 southern counties. And then this afternoon, they bumped it north again. So a couple of reasons why. One, they're more confident in the forecast. So they're more confident that there's going to be accumulating snow a little bit farther north. And also our models have come, computer models have just come north about 25, 30 miles. And yesterday, if you were watching, I was talking about that on the air, saying, hey, all it's going to, 25-mile bump north, and that heavy snow band over Long Island is now over Connecticut. And that's closer to what our computer models are showing now. Temperatures across the state, it's cold up here in Litchfield County. We're in the 20s. So we're good with all snow there. It is warmer down by the shoreline. As you can see, it's 39 in New Haven. It's 37 in Groton and Stonington. But again, there's some dry air. So, excuse me. So if you look at the relative humidity now in Groton's 57%. So it's going to take a little while to get that snow to reach the ground. But as that happens, the temperature will drop. So again, that process of getting those snowflakes to sublimate takes energy out of the atmosphere, and you get the temperature to drop. So this is an all snow event for us here in Connecticut. Might be close to freezing for a little while right at the coast, but we're not worried about rain here. So future satellite and radar shows what we've got coming in. We start off with some flurries and some light snow between now and midnight. Then as the atmosphere moistens up, we bring in the steadier precipitation, and especially by later on tonight, it starts coming down pretty good. So 6 a.m., that's when you're getting the heaviest batch of snow, especially the southern half of the state. Then it begins to wind down. So by 8 o'clock or so, and the storm has slowed down by an hour or two. I'm just noticing this is actually a new computer model run that just came in. I have not looked at this yet. But you can see here by 8 o'clock, the snow is much lighter in Litchfield County, but it's heavier down in the southeast corner. And then we bring in the back edge of the snow. But again, it may be slowing down a little bit. So maybe instead of 7 to 11 for the back edge, and maybe it's more 8 to 12. But you get the idea. Snow ends first up in the northwest corner and ends last down towards Stonington and New London. And then it's gone, and we get the sun by afternoon. But it gets really, really windy and really, really cold. So in terms of precipitation totals here, that was not going to work. Here you go. And this is what we were talking about earlier. So this is just looking at liquid precipitation. So it says rainfall forecast, but it's really just liquid forecast. I'm not going to put that on the banner, but you get the idea. And so what we do is we take that and we try to figure out, okay, so this is how much liquid is going to come from the cloud. How much snow is that going to produce? And so to do that, we have to take a look at a couple of things. We have to look at how much snow, what kind of ice crystals are going to form, how efficiently those ice crystals will form, and then how dense will the snow be once it accumulates. So there's a lot of factors. Forecasting rain amounts is a lot easier because it rains. The rain just comes out of the cloud and it just falls into a rain gauge, and there you go, you have it. Snow is more difficult because that precipitation, they form ice crystals, and different ice crystals have different densities. So you have to figure out which ice crystals you get, and then figure out how dense they are, and whether or not they compact on the ground, whether or not they melt a little bit. So forecasting snow is just a real pain, but I love it. I think it's fun. I think it's a challenge. I love a challenge. So that's why forecasting snow is always always a little challenging. All right, so here's the snow forecast. So I had like a million questions for how much snow in each specific town, and I wasn't able to get to all of them, all 169. But what I can show you is I can show you the map. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk through some towns here as best I can. So I'm going to start with the areas that I think get the least amount of snow, and that is going to be here in the suburbs north of Hartford, basically up through Springfield. There's going to be some dry air in the valley. So the valley, you have a northerly wind coming down from basically along I-91, along the Connecticut River, and that sort of locks in some dry air. So with the dry air, you get the snowflakes to come down, but the snowflakes start to sublimate, they dry up, and it's a little tougher to get much in the way of accumulation. So at least places like Enfield, Windsor Locks, Suffield, East Windsor, maybe parts of Somers, especially the western part of town, maybe a bit less, maybe an inch and a half. The higher you are in elevation on either side here, so say you're in Norfolk or Goshen, Or say you're in Stafford and Tolland and parts of Willington and Union, you're probably better off because of that elevation. You get out of that dry layer, 2-3 inches of snow, certainly a decent bet. Tolland especially may do a little better. Hartford, I think 2 to 3, pretty good deal. West Hartford, Farmington, Rocky Hill, parts of Glastonbury, Plainville, Bristol. And then the farther south you get, I think if there's a band that does better, I think if there was an area that got the most, and this is I'm just sort of spitballing here because I'm getting too detailed. I'm getting a little too precise. I'm getting more precise than the science allows. But if I were to guess right now, I would say that the heaviest snow band is going to be just inland from Long Island Sound and basically in this part of the state. So what is that? Let's see how good my geography is. If I missed a couple towns, I apologize. But let's say North Stonington over into Montville, Ledyard, Salem, Lyme, the northern part of East Lyme, East Haddam, Colchester, Bosra, over into Haddam, Middletown, East Hampton, Durham, Middlefield, Killingworth, Chester, Essex, Deep River, Guilford and Madison, especially just away from the Sound, say like near and north of Route 80, North Haven, North Branford, Northford, Wallingford, Meriden, Prospect, Cheshire, Bethany, Naugatuck, Oxford, Newtown, Monroe, Ansonia, Derby, Beacon Falls, parts of Orange. I'd say that those are probably the towns that may do the best. Let's see what I missed. I think I may have gotten all of them. If I missed your town, I apologize. It wasn't on purpose, but that's the area that I'd say is probably best set up for the jackpot snow. And so jackpot. So we've got 2 to 4 inches for that southern 2/3 of the state, but that's the area that could see 4, maybe 5 inches of snow. Especially we get that bonus fluff factor. We love the fluff factor. Skiers really love the fluff factor. That's when you get some really nice snow. You like to ski in that. All right, so temperatures for tomorrow. So this is the feels like temperature. I mentioned it's going to get really cold behind the system. Yeah, it does. Feels like temperatures during the day tomorrow in the teens. So it's cold. If you're going skiing tomorrow, you get some fresh powder, but just make sure you got a couple layers on. And then look at this, by Monday morning, 3 below the wind chill in Windsor Locks, 1 below in Meriden, 11 below in Colebrook, 3 below in Norwich, 3 below in Danielson. It's going to be pretty chilly out there. So it's going to be pretty cold. And Monday morning, probably the coldest we've seen so far this year. All right, so let's start to, let me get some questions here, and then I'm going to wrap this up before I lose my voice because I've been rambling for a while. And I appreciate it. I appreciate you listening to me. This has been really fun to do. All right, so got some new comments here. So let's see what we've got. Any chance for enhancement in the Bantam Morris area? Yeah, I think maybe some. I don't think you get a ton of enhancement there, but yeah, there's the potential for 2-3 inches for sure. Maybe a little bit more. Again, not a big storm, but something. Is this going to be a fast-moving storm? Yeah, it's out of here pretty quickly. I think the I guess you could say the meat and potatoes. I hate that phrase, but the meat and potatoes of the storm, probably for like a 6-hour window, 2 a.m. to 8 a.m., something like 1 a.m. to 7 a.m., something like that. That's when you get the heaviest. Let's see. West snowflakes in Gaylordsville. I asked for observations from southeastern Connecticut. You guys responded. Yuritsa, no snow in Groton Town. Thank you. And Alfred, nothing yet in Pawcatuck. It is snowing out in Brookfield, though. Let's take a look at that. So this band of snow out here in portions of the Danbury area is actually reaching the ground. So New Milford, Gaylordsville, down through New Fairfield, Danbury, getting a little bit of snow. Again, it's light, but it is snowing. You can see that heavier little band moving on through. Reed goes light snow falling in Newtown. Love that. Quentin, is snowfall below average for December? It is a little bit, depending on where you are. But yes, it is a little bit below normal, especially for how cold it's been. If it's going to be this cold, it might as well snow. That's how I look at it. Nikki, snow flurries in Woodbury. Thank you. Yes, I love these. Kathy goes, most importantly, I need to get out to get my coffee early tomorrow morning. Nothing's stopping me. Go, Kathy. Totally. Jose Rivera, 31 a prospect, no snow yet. Christopher asked if I was drunk. I am not drunk. I had a Diet Coke. I did have Starbucks earlier too, so maybe a little bit too much caffeine. Zach Thomas, Torrington, I'm guessing like an inch. I think you'll probably get a little more than an inch in Torrington. Greg, probably a dry snow, I would think. Yeah, I think it's actually pretty dry and pretty fluffy. Let's see. Danielle says, don't miss a town. Lots of pressure. I appreciate your perspective. Thank you. I hope I didn't miss too many towns. Let's see here. I'm looking for any kinds of... Eli goes, will Coventry get 4 inches of snow? That could be maybe, actually. Coventry, 3 or 4. I could see that for sure. And Jody goes, what about Hebron? I could see the same thing in Hebron. Tarbox 23, snowing in Mystic for sure. All right, there we go. Love that. Love these reports that we're getting in right away. Matt says, will Middletown be in that heavier band of snow? I think, yeah, pretty close to it. Middletown should do pretty well. Catherine goes, you didn't mention the towns farthest south, like Bridgeport, New Haven, and I did that for a reason, because I think right along the coast, it may be a little hard, maybe a little bit closer to 32 degrees, so you may compact the snow a little bit more than areas just farther to the north. So that's why I left out that, like, the first batch of towns right at the coast and went one inland. But either way, I mean, it's not going to be a big difference. The difference may be 3.5 inches to 4.5 inches, or very, very minimal. Kate goes, I love watching the snow. Wish it was happening during the day rather than overnight. Me too. But it's nice to wake up to tomorrow morning. Matthew asks, any chance for thunder snow? I don't think so. This is not like a thunder snow kind of event, unfortunately. So I don't think we're going to have any of that. So the storm is just not that strong. Justin goes, nothing in no stow. I guess that's North Stonington. I love that. No stow. I've never heard that before. Nothing quite yet in North Stonington. But yes, it will be sooner rather than later. We're going to get that snow to move in, and you will get North Stonington probably in a pretty good spot to get some accumulation out of this. And you can see here the snow is beginning to pick up a little bit in Western Connecticut, and it's going to continue too as we go through the next couple hours. We'll see the snow go from flurries to steadier light snow. And then after midnight, the snow's coming down hard enough that I think we're going to get some accumulation out there, and we're going to see, get a little slippery on the roads, get a little messy out there for tomorrow morning. But again, all things considered, not a big storm, just something, to talk about. And it should be pretty tomorrow morning. I think we'll have a nice couple inches of snow. It could be a little slippery in some towns. But overall, not a big storm, but something going on weather-wise. So, hey, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. I love that we got all these people to join us and to comment and to ask questions. Love to make this as interactive as possible. And our viewers are so great. We had so many awesome comments. People are very thoughtful. I really appreciate it. And enjoy the snow. We'll have an update tonight on NBC Connecticut News at 11. You can watch us on TV too. That we'll have, I'll be able to get some of the latest computer guidance. We're going to get a couple more like last minute updates before the storm moves in. So should get a one last shot at this, seeing if we've got any changes coming in. So I'll update the forecast a little bit, but I don't think we're going to see any big changes. I'm pretty confident in the forecast we have now. My biggest question is, how much is that fluff factor a factor? If the snow's too fluffy, maybe we get a little bit more in some towns, but the impact for that won't be too significant. Just look a little nicer out in the morning. So hey, awesome. Have a great weekend. I'll be in tonight at 11 o'clock on the news, and I'll also be in tomorrow night too. I got weekend duty this weekend, which is great because there's something going on. And stay warm tomorrow once that snow moves on out. So hey, thanks so much for joining us. If I don't see you before the holidays, have an awesome holiday season, but hope to see you before then. And I'll see you tonight on the news. Have a good one.